Meghan suddenly realized this painful thing: royal uproar was becoming counterproductive. Along the way, Meghan trashed her own family, and then she taught and encouraged Harry to trash his on this embarrassing global scale. I mean, just imagine how poor one's moral compass needs to be so that even a cesspool of narcissistic Hollywood people turn their backs on you. Even they can figure out who the true vipers are. Think about Amber Heard, for example, or Lindsay Lohan, or Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, Ellen DeGeneres. Yeah, it's a pretty long list. It kind of reminds me of that movie from 1987. It was called No Way Out, and it featured this up-and-coming actress named Sean Young. Well, Sean allowed the movie's success to completely go to her head, and she became so arrogant, so controversial, that after that movie, she was completely frozen out of Hollywood and didn't get any more big roles. No one argued about her performance in No Way Out. She did an amazing job, but all of a sudden she thought that she was an A-lister. She believed herself to be the queen of Hollywood. Does it sound like anybody else we know? And by the way, No Way Out is incredibly dated, but it really is a good movie. It's got a great cliffhanger. I mean, who is going to grin like a hyena with their chin held high? Meghan did something similar during their docuseries when they were always looking over their shoulders for that singular vehicle they claimed was pursuing them. Another good example would be when Meghan rolled down the window of that car during the Jubilee to make sure that everybody could see her, and at the time they claimed they were so worried about security. I mean, Harry says that it's not safe for the two of them to be back in the UK, so why in the world did he not insist that the windows stay up the whole time? Why didn't they use that locking mechanism to make sure the windows would remain rolled up? A couple little fits by two overgrown babies, Meghan believed that she was better than the royal family somehow, that she was more woke, she was wiser than them, and she viewed them as a way for her to become famous and also wealthy. She needed to be a billionaire because that's what she deserved. Meghan Markle was a Z-list actress. She had very limited skills beyond trying to sell sex, but in her head she believed she was the modern-day Bette Davis and that she was going to finally be able to take the world by storm. She believed they were going to set up some rival court in Hollywood where Meghan was going to be the queen, and all the people she used to envy would bow down to her. Well, except for one problem, none of that ever happened. Soon enough, though, she and Harry were reduced to doing basically whatever they could to make a quick buck. They were peddling lies and buying these ridiculous awards to try to convince everybody that they really were successful. Considering that Meghan and Harry have no talent, they don't have any work ethic, and they don't have any real skills, but they're desperate for money and attention, they didn't have any problem sinking to these disgusting levels, like smearing other people and believing that would get them an Emmy. They are so detached from any sense of reality. They also seem to be completely lacking in common decency. And we know all this stuff is just a bunch of PR nonsense put out by the wannabes of California. They're the ones who are leaking this newsworthy information. Any public presence, I guess, is a lot better than no public presence at all. Just like in the past, Buckingham Palace is not going to publicly talk about demands like seating arrangements or photo ops. It would be a relentless debate from one team to the other, and it would really only add fuel to the fires of discontent. If I were a member of the royal family, then I would not want to talk to them because I would know that any conversation would be distorted, it would be recorded, it would be exaggerated, and then they would broadcast it for the whole world to listen to. The two of them will say anything they think is going to get their names in the headlines because they know the rest of the family is not going to enter into this public mudslinging match. I would also make them sit with the other non-royals and only agree to meet them in public. I wouldn't invite them into my home. The late Queen made the rule that only working royals would get to stand on Buckingham Palace balcony, and I think it's important to respect her rules. I do hope that once this pair of nobodies are out of the headlines, the king can just quietly take away those titles. They are the ones, after all, who didn't want to be working royals anymore. They didn't want to be royals, for that matter. In order to be treated like family, in my opinion, you need to act like family. Harry doesn't do that. He doesn't have any love for his family, only spite and hatred. He would be an absolute danger to them. Blood is not really thicker than water when it comes to Harry's lies and his drug abuse too. He has some serious mental health problems, and that's why he really needs to stay away and get some help. When Meghan and Harry chose to step down as members of the royal family, they also chose to give up their rights to demand anything. They are lucky they even got an invitation to the coronation. That invitation did not include participation in the coronation or balcony appearance. And this is not some family party, it was a state event, and the king should remember that his mother always put the country first. They do have some nerve, though, to believe they have any right to demand anything from the family they have trashed, attacked, and written and spoken so many lies about. It's just shocking. If I were the king, then I would send back a couple of conditions that they have to comply with. So number 1, DNA from the kids and proof that Meghan actually gave birth to those children. That is non-negotiable. Another thing is they have to sit with the other non-working royals. But because nobody wants to speak with them, I mean, maybe they should just be put in a corner behind a big pillar or candle. Another thing would be no titles for those kids if it's proven that they came from surrogacy. And one is American, so why do they want those titles anyway? And another thing would be, if titles are given, then they cannot abuse them by making money from these children and the titles. And finally, I would tell them they need to head back to Montecito and stay put. Nobody wants them in the UK. In other news, I cannot for the life of me understand why any talent agency would want to work with Meghan Markle. I think the only talent she's got is lying. She has already upset another client, Cameron Diaz, because she acted like they were out having dinner together. Cameron said that she was just informed that she needed to show up at a restaurant, and other people were there. I can only hope that Ari Emanuel is charging Meghan millions before he ditches her. After all, his talent agency is also a business, and they gotta make their money somehow. Rumor has it they've already fired her. I mean, talent agencies do have to let go of people if they're causing too many problems, if they cause chaos, or if they create all these public scenes. If they say things against other people they represent, or make racist remarks, for example, in the case of Kanye West. When Meghan pitched a fit because she wasn't nominated for an Emmy Award, she and Harry said that they were going to find out who was responsible for it. Now that was in all the US newspapers. Apparently, the governor of California even had to block Meghan Markle's number because she kept calling him about herself trying to run or being offered a Senate seat there without any experience and certainly no skills that would make her qualified. A talent agent or a PR person can only do so much when their client is somebody like Meghan Markle, somebody who does not know when to shut her mouth. And I think that she really did get let go by WME. That would explain that really stupid fake performance video they put out after the news came out, where they were calling up those young award winners. The prizes were actually given out in May or June, and they had so many big donors it wasn't only Archewell. This little stunt may have even cost them more connections, because they tried to make it seem like Archewell was the only prize giver in that video. The funny thing, too, about Meghan is that she lies all the time, so you would think that by now she'd be pretty good at it, but she's not. The fact is, we live in the age of the internet. It is so easy to Google anything that anyone has ever said or done. It's getting a lot more difficult to make a living out of lying. The only thing you can really get away with lying about now would be something boring that you did before you got famous and nobody's interested in anyway, and you're not going to make money off that. Harry claimed that his penis was damaged by frostbite, but a lot of people saw it because he was playing strip poker in Vegas, so again, it's another big fat lie. The only thing that makes me still interested in Meghan Markle is because I want one question answered. Do those two children exist? And if so, from whose body were they born? And who contributed genetically to their existence? Since Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet appear in the line of succession to the British monarchy, I think that the people have a right to know the answers to these questions. If Meghan and Harry really have perpetrated this massive scam on the British people and the entire world, really, for what reason I do not know, then I would say it is way past time for the truth to finally come out. Who exactly is powerful enough to demand answers to these questions? Because seriously, what explanation could they have for refusing to take those invisible kids to the UK? It would be so easy to get DNA from anything to make sure that it belonged to Harry and or Meghan. I have read that anything more than mild frostbite on a penis can permanently kill or really damage the swimmers. I suspect that Harry might have been shooting blanks. My news today has ended. What do you think about Harry and Meghan? Let us know your opinion below in the comments. Don't be afraid to like and share my video with your friends who would enjoy it if you preferred it this evening. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.